It's showtime!
We're here this week in startups.
Josh's not feeling so well.
I'm doing okay.
All right.
But we've had a crazy week.
It's good.
Delays. We've both been super busy. We've got a lot on, but we always have time for this week in startups.
I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you
Because I don't know if you read the comments.
I sometimes read the comments.
Okay, because there are a lot of comments. Josh is the star of the show. So, if I was to try and do this by myself,
how would it go?
I don't think anyone would watch.
Toby's week in startups?
No. I don't think anyone would watch. All right, let's snap to it.
So I want to talk a little bit about some streaming services, namely Netflix and Amazon.
Yep.
You use Netflix?
Don't. You know, I'm not a big TV person, but I'm a huge basketball. I sit and watch basketball. If there's no basketball on, I'm not in.
Interesting. Well, have you ever tried? You've watched Netflix a bit?
No,
you know about
I've tried the whole Netflix and chill with Simi thing, and she's like, "No, it's Netflix. But we're watching Netflix."
There's no chill.
No, I'm out.
Interestingly, Netflix has announced that this year they're going to spend $8 billion on original content.
Yep.
Which is huge.
Yep.
That means they're producing about 700 different shows.
Wow. It's a big number.
And yeah, it's a huge number, and they're creating a huge breadth in 80 in foreign languages, really.
Wow.
Just going for it, right?
Amazing.
And I guess that's because they have good data on what people like.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also realized that people don't really care about the source of their content. You remember before it might have been a production company that might have driven a consumer. Now people just want good content because they can get it on demand.
Yep.
They're getting it better and faster.
Yep.
So what Netflix is doing, they're just partnering with really cool producers. You would have seen recently. There's all these things from the producer of Lost.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So it's kind of like self-publishing.
Yeah.
Via Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing it themselves. And
as in the producer?
No, Netflix is getting on these producers who've created good shows in the past
and said, "Hey, we'll bankroll you."
Yeah, just do it. And so they've recently signed one producer, I can't recall his name, for 10 years on a 10-year contract to get him producing content for them.
So hold on. Where's the money? So let's just walk through this. I think I'll answer the question without you having to answer it. But I'm a digital platform that basically has people paying me. I think in the US. We were customers for between that and Hulu, $7 a month or $12 a month, whatever. Really stupid number.
Yeah.
So they're making revenue that way.
Yeah.
They're making that much revenue that they can afford to pay for these shows.
Well, they have millions of subscribers.
Oh, so they're not...
And because it's a monthly revenue that they're getting on millions of subscribers, that's pretty cool. That's enough. That's enough to bankroll these projects.
But how much? So you're saying they're spending how much?
$8 billion.
$8 billion
This year they're planning to spend.
Okay, so is there a long tail on that distribution, or is that that's this year's overhead?
That's this
next year's overhead. We need more, so it's going to be 9 or 10 billion next year.
Yeah, they've also increased their marketing spend to $2 billion to try and get their original content out there.
So, but are you saying? So the television networks back in the day were making money from advertisers slotting in their ads.
Right.
Is there still ads?
No, there's no ads.
Right, so it's all, you're paying $10 a month and they might have 10 million users.
100 million?
100 million a month? That's 1.2 billion. Where's the gap on the 8 million?
That's actually a good question. I haven't run the maths.
That's what went through my head in the minute. Now I get it that NBC or whoever was basically buying a series, and they would buy the series for not $1 billion, but a lot of money.
Yeah,
maybe $100 million or $50 million. I really don't know. Actually, I've got a friend in Los Angeles. Shout out to Simon Gallagher, who actually buys television shows and sells them.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I'd be interested to understand what they sell them for. But geez, you'd have to have in order for me to spend $8 billion, I'll tell you how my head works. In order for me to spend $8 billion, I better be getting somewhere between sort of 12 and 20 back.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's the aim. I think Netflix's strategy is to move away from using other people's content to only producing their own. That's their long-term strategy.
So then they're ultimately buying the they're buying the show at cost or wholesale as opposed to a markup.
That's it. And so they're...
But still, if they're spending $8 billion and they have 10 million... I mean, they must have more than 10 million subscribers.
They must. We can do a quick Google search. Netflix subscribers. That's why we have the laptop, right?
That's right.
118 million subscribers globally. And that was January 2018.
What's monthly... what's the monthly spend? How much is a subscription?
Like $10.
Okay, so 100 and... So they're making one. Okay, so this now makes sense.
Yeah, now it's starting to make sense.
So they're getting 12 billion.
Yeah.
They're spending 8. They're making 4.
It's pretty good.
I'm in. I said those were my numbers before I even knew the numbers. Back to This Week in Startups. Sorry for that. That advert was brought to you by Corporate Advice. CorporateAdvice.co.
So I think it's interesting. Netflix has their unique strategy, and Amazon isn't too dissimilar. You know, Amazon Prime. You can also subscribe to watch their content and their movies.
Funny story about that. I was an Amazon Prime user. Go to my daughter Madison, and I say to her, or I think Simi said to her the other day, like, what's the biggest thing that you miss between Los Angeles and Australia? And she's like, Mummy, every day we used to come home, there would be a box at our front door.
Amazon Prime.
And here there's not. And yeah, and it was really cool. Is like, I know I ordered it the night before, or even that same morning. When the box arrived, I'm like, oh my God, what's in the box?
Yeah, and it's awesome.
But I knew what I bought because I bought it.
And so I think Amazon's streaming strategy, pretty similar to Netflix.
Yep.
They're not doing anything different. They're producing their own content. But I guess what's really different is that Amazon's content isn't for the user. The end game isn't user enjoyment of the show. The end game is to drive sales back to the Amazon platform. Which is pretty crazy. So this was actually, there was some leaked documents that haven't been confirmed by Amazon, but they've been circulating around the internet. So they produced a show called The Man in High Castle, which was based on a really cool writer called Philip K. Dick's book. Had 8 million viewers. The program cost $72 million. It attracted 1.15 million new subscribers to Amazon Prime, which is huge.
Which is $100 a year. It was $100. I think it's like 110 US now.
And you get a whole suite of things with it. But it also, the average value of each new subscriber was $63 US.
Yeah, so I can see that.
So I think their strategy compared to Netflix is quite interesting, that they're just using it to drive people to use Prime, to sign up to Amazon, to get movies.
I got a question for you. With total off-the-cuff transparency, and obviously no disrespect to anyone that you're in business with or doing business for, or people you
whatever it is.
If you could work and own any company in the world, would it be Google, Amazon, Facebook?
At this stage, it'd probably be Amazon.
I think so too. I'm like thinking about this as we're live. And I'm thinking that, like I showed you a couple of weeks ago, Casey Neistat, and how he's got his own affiliate marketing links. Whenever he talks about the equipment that he uses, he adds an affiliate marketing link to it. So every time there's
a sale,
I could just, like, the thing that just clicked in my head was, if these guys are producing their own content, how many things can they sell off their marketplace, whether it's them direct or from one of their affiliates, for like product placement?
And I think it's amazing because Amazon has this like broad overarching strategy that we're kind of being trickled little bits of information each week to find out what exactly they're doing. And they're offering and service is getting wider and wider, which kind of brings me to my next point, that Amazon's actually setting up banking system.
Of course they are.
So they're partnering with people like JP Morgan, or rumored to be partnering with people like JP Morgan to allow customers to set up their own checking accounts via Amazon. So this means that they'll have data on the whole of the spending of a customer, not just what they spend on Amazon, but they'll have their on what they spend in their day-to-day life in order to live. So this means that they could accurately predict someone's spending profile. If you imagine that, like, all our transactions and all our data that we creates this image of us, an online image.
That's crazy.
They can drive sales to a person because they know your exact profile. And so Amazon's strategy, it's broadening. Every week we talk about it, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and so people used to criticize, and I am guilty of it, Jeff Bezos, for these razor thin margins. You can't run a business on that sort of margin. But the reality is that was the date drug. Like that was the door key. Like
that's what got people in the door, right? And people started saying, "Yeah, cool, small margins better for me." And now he's saying, "Well, hey,
Prime, I'll give you all Prime. You can have shipping." Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, sure.
I'll give you Amazon TV. Okay, Jeff. Like,
yeah.
And now all of a sudden, it happened to me the other day, where I realized I'm spending a lot on the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
Not with the hardware, but like I shifted from the US App Store to the Australian App Store because I couldn't get an app, which then stuffed up my Apple Music.
Yeah.
I had to disconnect Apple Music for $9.99 US a month, and now paying $17.95 Australian.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The same thing happened with NBA TV.
Yeah.
It was $200 US for the year. Now it's $499 Aussie for the year.
Huge.
And I'm thinking to myself, and then all of a sudden I get my Amazon, my iCloud, $399 US a month storage.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, these guys are actually making serious. It's small numbers.
Yeah, and it's like small increments that add convenience to your life, but also adding significant cost in a way, right?
It is amazing. The consumer is winning. But my God, like, so that Netflix number, 118 million. The next thing that went through my head was, how many people are on Apple Music? How many people are paying Spotify?
And we all know Spotify's just recently IPO'd as well, or they're filing for an IPO.
I know of someone that just put some serious money into Spotify. Serious money, like just shy of $1 billion serious money.
I think it's like a sound investment.
I
think Spotify is a sound investment.
I was not convinced, and I'm not a Spotify user. I was not convinced, but after I heard them put it in and knowing who they are, I'm like, I'm wrong because I'm missing something.
Yeah. It's interesting,
it's
right?
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and I think all these like streaming companies are really starting to make footprints in their individual ways, and there's definitely space for two competitors in each of these industries. So just because Amazon's making great content or Netflix is making great content doesn't mean there can't be other major players in the game.
Yeah.
But the way that they drive return business is really unique to each of them. Apple has their ecosystem.
Totally.
You know?
And Google's starting to play on that ecosystem a little bit, but Google sits sort of between Apple and sort of between Microsoft with their G Suite services. But even then, like another thing dawned on me, we're going through some big structural changes here at Creative Cubes because we're adding more businesses, not to our community, but we're building more companies and more services for our community. And we were spending $8.50 a month for G Suite inbox access. I had a discount code. Now I've got like 34 inboxes, and I'm paying like $10. I'm paying $340 a month
just to have access.
Just to have access.
It's crazy. And you're not going to give up access now that you have it because
I'm actually adding more.
Yeah, you need it.
It's incredible. That annuity, small number, big volume. That's the business, man.
That's the business model of today. And
another thing I was thinking about, not to derail and obviously not to get off topic, but
another thing we never get off topic.
Yeah, we only go for 3 minutes. We're very structured.
Yeah.
Is back in the day, and I say back in the day, 2009, 2010, even 11 and 12, you wanted some music. You were downloading 99. Well, I was in the US, so 99 cents for the latest clip, or $3.99 for a rental, an album, or a rental. Now, I still don't understand how Apple Music pays the musicians or the talent or the artists, because I'm paying $17 a month for family, and my kids have it on their iPads and they listen to stuff, and Sim has it on her phone. But the amount of songs we're now consuming for $17.95 versus the $3, $4
or album based before that, the cost is driving down per song, but increasing, like they have to get more.
I was never spending $17 on albums or singles for my phone a month.
Yeah.
Now I'm spending $17.95 with a justification that you want
to
listen to a song?
Access to everything.
I have 40 million songs. Tell me your genre, and I can play for you while you drive my car. So I guess I'm spending more and artists are able to pay, but I'm not, and I'm consuming more, but I'm not paying per, like it's
a really interesting dynamic. Really interesting.
It's got, I don't know if you guys can see, but my head's like anyway,
backwards and forwards. So next thing I want to talk about is I guess planned obsolescence. Where you've probably experienced it before with some products that you have, that they just get old and suddenly don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And it's really strange, right? Because a lot of companies I know have really sound hardware. The hardware could still be relevant for today. We'd see it with phones, we're not getting new phones each year, but a phone that's 2 years old doesn't work like a...
Well, you know what's happening? We're getting some of us are getting a new phone each year, but there's nothing wrong with the old one.
Yeah, right?
Because they're selling you on these amazing bells and whistles.
And really, there's no like revolution, it's just a small evolution. But what's really key is that the software stops being updated on older versions, or or the new software is downloaded. I know it happens for Macs consistently. You'll have an older laptop, you'll get the new software, and it will just slow the thing down because it can't.
And Apple's been, I've read, I'm not accusing, I've read, my lawyer will defend me. I've read that Apple have pled guilty to throttling phones with the software.
And I'm sure it's like very common. I think it's a right of a consumer to be able to repair their product. Would you say so? That every consumer should be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't know if it's worth the repair.
But like, we're not talking about us here living in Melbourne City, very lucky to be living here. We're talking about, a consumer that may not have all the privileges that we do.
Sure.
And they should be able to have those secondhand items still working.
Yeah.
Because they're still functional at the end of the day.
Totally.
And so we see a lot of cool companies doing really cool things. There's iFixIt, which you might have heard of. They're online, they're really awesome, and they just do teardowns of every single new product and tell you exactly how to repair it. They've done the Galaxy S9 already, they've done the HomePods, they've done all really cool stuff, and all they sell electronic kits and say, hey, we're going to show you how to repair it, you can do it if that's what you want to do. And I think that's really awesome. But recently in LA, this guy, Eric Lundgren, do you know him?
Don't know Eric.
You don't know Eric? He is obsessed with recycling. And so circa 2011, he started a recycling waste plant, and he would build secondhand computers from that. This guy's really famous, I guess mostly because he built an electric vehicle that recorded a longer travel time on a single charge than a Tesla, using recycled parts.
I'm trying to rack my brain. What did he brand the car? Because there was a
no, he didn't brand the car.
Okay.
So this was just something that he built. But what he did do, which is really interesting, is that he built software. He copied Microsoft's software for their old computer systems and gave it away to secondhand resellers.
Wow.
And did it in the tune of like 77,000 different discs. Gave it away because he thought it would drive sales to secondhand computers, because they actually don't have access to this kind of software usually.
I like you, Eric. You're a good man.
And so he did that. Interestingly, got sued by Microsoft.
Of course he did. I was about to say, it was like, yeah.
Yeah, so he got sued by Microsoft. At the trial, Microsoft witness said the discs are worth $0, but somehow there's still a dollar value prescribed. Got a 15-month jail term just for repairing these products. So I think it's an interesting story.
Repairing, or like, I mean, when you describe the discs, I instantly like.
Yeah, so his discs he did counterfeit the discs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's like a huge issue, but the issue is more like, did Microsoft actually lose money from him giving those discs to secondhand resellers anyway, right?
So the answer would be 100% no. They didn't lose money, but...
So then does he...
But they probably...
So what loss did they actually suffer, right?
Potentially, like, if it would have gone viral... it could have spun out of control to the detriment of Microsoft.
Sure.
So capping that off. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like Eric. I like him. I like what he's doing. I just don't like people stealing. I said that last week on the show.
Yeah.
We talked about people scanning groceries at the wrong, like that has actually that had me flat for a couple of days.
That's like crazy, right?
Flat on humanity, man. Just be honest, be good, do the right thing.
And so
please.
this has like a real like balance, right? Because this guy's counterfeited discs, but at the same time, his mission is to reduce waste and help people from all walks of life.
So I'm with you on the iFixIt.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Eric did with his car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the counterfeit.
Yeah, fair call.
That's just me.
Fair call.
But I don't judge.
That's all right. So I'm just going to move on to some short, snappy news now.
Yep.
Aussie Telco has jumped on the satellite bandwagon that we spoke about last week.
Cool.
Pivotel have partnered with Iridium Communications.
Yep.
And what they're doing, Iridium is releasing satellites into the upper atmosphere.
Yep.
And Pivotel is providing these little antennas that people can put on their cars. And they claim to have this compression technology to help the internet be used more efficiently. And they can provide, in their statement, internet anywhere in the world using these tiny little antennas attached to cars. So great for country Australia when you're out far in the Red Desert.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty cool.
How often do you go to the Red Desert, Josh?
Not very often, but I would like to.
So, you know what? It's funny you should say that. So would I. And Wi-Fi doesn't affect me going or not going, or cell signal for that matter. But I got to tell you, when I check into somewhere, and more so than a business trip, fast internet is super important.
So important, right?
I don't care. And I really do. I don't care what the bathroom looks like. No, I really do. I don't care what the bed looks like.
You really, really do. Yeah.
But your internet, if your internet is shit, I'm checking out.
So Apple's announced that they're going to be releasing some high-end headphones. So their AirPods, they didn't expect them to do as well as they did. They're super popular. See everyone walking around the streets.
Yeah, and I heard AirPod 2s are coming out,
so
which I'm a little annoyed about because it's just got this drop instead of plug charge.
And so you got the AirPod 2s, but what they're releasing is over-ear headphones, which is interesting because they're not only are they looking to compete in a new market with Bose, but they're also competing against their own brand.
I was about to say, hold on a second. Are we doing this in Beats brand or are we doing this in Apple brand?
This is doing this in Apple brand.
So I think
that's interesting. That for me is a really interesting strategy.
Yeah, I don't want to go on the record and sound like a loser, but I had this aversion to Beats.
Yeah,
because I've got Beats X.
Yeah.
I've got Studio Beats. My kids have got Beats. I'm there now, and I'm there only because Apple bought them.
Yeah.
But before Apple, I wasn't a very strong. I am strong, kind of, athlete.
Yeah.
That doesn't play pro sports, and I'm white, and and I just didn't feel like the Beats were for me.
Yeah.
So I actually had a pair of Bose, and then Apple bought them. I'm like,
bang, they're mine.
I'm in. I went and bought the whole family a set. Sim has a pair. She doesn't use them, but she has a pair. And I got to tell you, I would probably. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm trying to stop the words coming out of my mouth. But
just say it.
I would probably buy your headphones, Apple. Just with the Apple logo on the end.
And you're just leaving Beats behind straight away.
That would just go straight into my drawer on my bedside table.
And some freaky news for the week, I guess. Baidu, so a Chinese company, announced that they can clone voices in rapid speed. So they've developed a new machine learning algorithm and can clone voices within 3.7 seconds to a very high degree. So how crazy is this? So imagine a telemarketer. He's not from India anymore, but he's based on your mum's voice, you know? Or she's based on your mum's voice. And they've listened to your mum for 3.7 seconds and they've said, yeah. Or someone that you're familiar with. And said, hey, Toby, you know, I just lived down the street, in a voice that you know, in an accent that you know, and you're like...
That's going to help. That's going to help business. It's going to help a lot of those telecall centers that are working offshore, which, again, I have no problem with whatsoever, but there's a lot of people out there that do.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a real aversion to it. So I think it's going to get scary. Actually, we didn't talk about Elon Musk today, but I'm going to speak about him very quickly. He said that we should be more concerned about AI than like diseases and stuff like that.
Really?
Like, AI is going to become a real problem.
And it might flip the world on its head. Who knows?
That might be a good thing.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing, but that's I can see the good in that tech. I can also see if that got into the wrong hands, what that would happen. What would happen?
And so that's This Week in Startups.
This Week in Startups. We'll be back next week. Actually, this week is playing next week because we're behind schedule. You figure it out.